Hi, this is County Executive Barry Glassman. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, I am presenting highlights of my fiscal year 2021 budget through this video. And on Tuesday, April 14th, I will deliver the budget legislation to the County Council for introduction. Prior to this public health crisis and state government shutdown of the local economy, Harford County was continuing to maintain a strong financial posture under my administration. Our revenues were growing, and we continued to implement efficiencies across county departments. The current crisis has required me to go back and make some revisions to our draft budget. As we move forward, record unemployment claims and mandated business closures will surely have an impact on county revenue. A lot will depend upon whether this downturn is for a couple of quarters or a longer, deeper recession, which would have a dramatic impact on all county governments in 2021. I am monitoring the fiscal situation on a daily basis, as much as changing and unknown. What we do know is that over the past 5 years, I have made difficult decisions that, along with conservative budgeting of revenues and expenditures, have allowed us to rebuild our reserves from near depleted levels. Our reserves will help us weather this storm so we can continue to support the things that our community depends on, especially now. That is why I resisted prior calls to spend down our savings to provide flexibility when we need it most. As you will see, this budget continues to fund my priorities. I continue to dedicate 50% of our general fund revenue to education. I continue to fund public safety, law enforcement, and first responders, along with my dedicated county employees. They are all on the front lines of serving in today's crisis and keeping local government open. With this in mind, let me give you a brief outline of some of the major items in the FY21 budget. As most of you know, I'm a student of President Lincoln's legacy, and I think this quote this year is of particular interest and fits our presentation well. The total of all budget funds this year are approaching $1 billion, which represents about a 4.9% increase. You'll see the general fund operating budget at approximately $633 million is approximately 6% higher than last year. I would note, however, that the capital budget at $145 million is down 7% from last year. We have deferred some projects except for education and public safety, investing only in essential technology. I will continue to monitor the capital budget as we move forward through the next year. I'd also point out that again this year, we are paying off more debt than we're taking on. We have tempered revenue estimates this year and used some of our fund balance in light of the current economic conditions. You'll see that we have written down our revenue estimates by approximately half, from 3% to 1.5% growth. This year, we're fully funding the Harford County Public School operating budget request, and we continue to invest about 50% of the general fund revenue on education. We continue to record level of funding for public safety. County government efficiencies across our departments continue to help provide additional revenue as we go forward, and we continue to maintain our AAA bond rating. And as the case for the last 5 years, we are doing this without any tax increases to the citizens of Harford County. Our budget proposes a $2,000 merit-based increase plus a 2% COLA for each of our county employees, along with equivalent increases for the state's attorney office and circuit court employees. These merit-based increases continue to help our lower and mid-level employees with a greater degree of increase. We also provide full funding for the second phase of the Sheriff's Law Enforcement Corrections Pay Plan. This will restore our law enforcement and correctional officers back to a competitive level in the region. This also represents full funding of the sheriff's salary enhancement request for all of his employees. This year I will be recommending full funding for Harford County Public Schools. The $277 million FY21 operating funds represents about a $20.5 million increase over FY20. It exceeds the required maintenance of effort, was something that Harford County has done always in the past. We also are providing full funding for Harford Community College. This represents fulfilling the CADE formula, which requires localities to fund approximately 1/3 of their local community college. We also have a 3% increase in funding for the Harford County Public Libraries, which also represents a record level of funding. I always like to show this chart each year to give folks an idea of how the county is funding our local education system as compared to state funding. And as you can see, we still almost outpace the state by 2-to-1. We have budgeted $1 million for preventing and treating opioid addiction and behavioral health services again this year in the budget. We continue to support our 24-hour Klein Family Harford Crisis Center for mental health and addiction, with about $250,000 going to the Crisis Center. This is really important during the current crisis, that we do not stop the progress that we have made for addiction and mental health in Harford County. We also continue to support our community organizations. The County Humane Society is getting a full funding for their budget, and we have increases for the Harford Center and the Arc of Northern Chesapeake. In light of the current environment, we have a historic level of funding for our first responders in Harford County. I have budgeted a 3% COLA increase for operating funds for all our volunteer fire companies at approximately $7.1 million. We also have an additional $5.3 million for the Harford County Volunteer Fire and EMS Foundation. This will also begin to allow us to strengthen and solidify the EMS Foundation with additional providers and additional coverage for our volunteers. We have also added $3.5 million to strengthen the Harford County EMS service. This will add a third crew in FY21 through vacancies rather than by adding new positions. The third crew will support our current volunteers and will fill out our regional coverage countywide. I also will be submitting a bill to the County Council along with the budget, which will provide a cost of living increase to our Volunteers Length of Service Award program, known as the LOSAP program. This will provide approximately $25 more per month for our volunteers that are in the program, and also for those volunteers that are capped out at the end of their service. This support for volunteers, in addition to our student loan forgiveness program planned for July, will hopefully help with recruitment and retention. For the county public school system, we have 8 projects at approximately $24 million. I've assigned about $1 million for blended learning technology devices for students and teachers. We also have our usual county share of roof replacement costs for Bel Air Middle and Hickory Elementary School. I also have funding in there for the modernization of Joppatown High School. We also have a required funding for 14 special education buses. In addition, we have funding for special education facility improvements, which was the board's #1 priority. I also funded various life safety upgrades to fire alarms and communication equipments throughout the system. On the public safety front, we have 9 projects at approximately $13.1 million. I continue to fund the Volunteer Fire Company Priority Repairs account at approximately $750,000 as they've requested. life safety equipment at $775,000, and also include the last installment for the Aberdeen Volunteer Fire Company renovation at $500,000. We continue to fund computer equipment and mobile data terminals for the Sheriff's Office. The budget also contains funding for the construction of a new North County Fire EMS station and also funding for our partnership with Company 4 Abington for a station at Riverside. We continue to plan for the next-gen 911 technology and fund upgrades to the mobile portable radio system. So on the capital side, what we have left is what we currently are required to do for stormwater management to keep us in compliance with state and federal mandates. We continue to concentrate on county road and bridge projects. You'll see some water and sewer infrastructure reinvestments, and also an additional $1.6 million to complete the Mon Pod Trail connection, which I hope to get completed by the end of my term. We also have some support here for our sports tourism through improvements to various locations to keep that economic driver moving. I also have $1.4 million for the county share of the upgrade to Harford Community College's Chesapeake Welcome Center. So as you can see, this budget continues to fund my priorities and continues to move Harford County forward, even in these unpredictable times, while at the same time, it preserves fiscal responsibility and maintains our available fund balance around the $20 million level, which I prefer. Special thanks to my Director of Administration, Billy Boniface, Treasurer Robbie Sandless, and Budget Chief Kim Spence, and her staff for their dedication in getting the budget completed during these last few stressful weeks. My entire budget recommendation is posted on the county website, and contact information appears at the end of this video. God bless and be safe.